So there wasn't a good way to do it without turning the video off and turning the video back on. So that's what I did. So I saw her before I even became homeless, before I started being a nomad. And she looks a bit like either a Dutchie or a Malinois, however you say that. And in her picture, she looked bigger. Even in pictures I take of her, she looks bigger, but she's actually kind of a smallish, or at least medium-sized dog. She's not a big dog. She's a medium-sized dog. Yes, aren't you, Taki? And I decided one day, after reading a very sappy, sad, but lovely post on Facebook about how after you lose a dog, you should eventually get another one, because there's other dogs that need our love. And it was reminded me of my son's dog Kevin, who died just 2 weeks, I think, before I left. And I had gotten very close to him, and he had been sick for a long time, and I thought he was getting better, and unfortunately he wasn't, and he died one night unexpectedly to me. Looking back, I think, how did I not expect it, because he was very sick. So anyway, the little picture they had going with the post looked just like him, and my son buried him up in the hills somewhere. He didn't tell me exactly where, but we all loved Kevin and missed him. And I was sitting having my oatmeal at Labrese's Park in Reno, up the hill, and started crying. And said, yeah. And then a little bit later, I did some chores, and then a little bit later, I said, well, I'm just gonna go look. And Taki's name at that time was takoyaki, which I understand is wheat ball, octopus with wheat balls with wheat covering on it. And I think maybe because of her coloring they named her that. I don't know who named her. And I don't know much about her. They say she's 1 year and 8 months old, and she came from Elko, which is out in the desert, out in the rugged countryside. So she's a country dog. And they said she was a stray out there, but they had this name, and I don't know, like I said, who gave it to her, if it was the shelter people or what. But they were calling her Taco, and I couldn't call her Taco. That was too flippant. It was too whatever. And so I first thought I'd call her Aki, after the Yaqui Indians of Mexico, and that was close to the end part of her name, Yaqui, Aki. But it just didn't work when I got her. It didn't. And so I started calling her Taki, because my grandson, my 11-year-old grandson, loves Takis. That's part of the reason. And it was close to what her name was already, or given name already was. So she's very responsive to it, which is good. I kind of wonder, like, she's very good as far as when you say come, she comes. She doesn't sit on command. I was trying to get her to sit on command, but she didn't want to sit on command, even though the shelter folks said that she did for them. She wouldn't for me. I haven't had her got her to sit once for me. I kind of stopped giving, even making her. It was like she just figured, well, she's more dignified than that. She'll come, but she won't sit. And they said that she was good on a leash, and she is to an extent. But she pulls, and so she's not that great on a leash. And I would eventually like to be able to, have that recall of her and not have her on a leash as much, but I just don't trust it yet. So we're 3 weeks that we've been together, me and Taki, and she is just the best. She's sweet, she's funny. As you can see, she loves to look out the window. She doesn't like to hang out the window. She just likes to look around, and I will catch her sometimes. She'll sit in the back seat instead of the front seat, and she'll just be looking out the window. I won't have the window down very far, and she won't be sticking her nose out. She'll just be looking out. And there's a few spots where we've driven repeatedly that she seems to anticipate or know the countryside, which I think is funny. She, especially going down to Washoe State Park, she she perks up, and that's got to be the smell of the horses and the coyotes and all. And it's big horse country down there, even other than the wild horses. Many people down there have little ranches and have their own horses. So she's an interesting girl. She gets cuddly late at night. Sometimes she definitely wants to be in her own space and doesn't want to snuggle, but sometimes she wants to snuggle. She's funny in the tent. She'll go in there by her own if she wants sometimes, or has. She does the thing where if she wants out, she's pressing her body up against the walls. She's figured out that they're flimsy, but she also figured out she can't get out unless there's a hole, the zipper. She knows where the doorway is. But she likes the tent, which is good. I mean, it would be impossible if she didn't like the tent. That would be difficult. So Taki, yeah, me and her are getting bonded. We're bonded pretty good, and we'll see how it goes with her as time goes on. We're already best friends, and she already cuddles. She leans on me. As a matter of fact, the first day I went, that's what kind of sealed the deal. She was playing with me, and then at some point she just came and just leaned against me, and I thought, oh, she wants somebody, and she was visibly happy when I took her out of the shelter. So I'm really glad I did it, even though it made no practical sense. It totally eased my heart. I was very lonely, having been living with my son and my grandkids. It was an abrupt change. It needed to happen. It was time, but it was tough to take. I wanted to be around them, and it felt very lonely. And they're teens. The two oldest are teens, and they've got their own lives. They're doing their own thing. Especially the very oldest, the 17-year-old girl. She's got her own thing going on, and she works and she goes to school and she has lots of friends. The 15-year-old also has lots of friends, goes to school. It doesn't work yet. He and I kind of connected a little bit more. I hadn't seen my grandkids due to COVID for 6 years. I'd been visiting, and then at the 3-year mark, I was planning a trip to come out here and see them, and COVID hit. And then it was another 3 years before I could come see them. So they grew up in that time, and it was really difficult and really sad for me because I wasn't really able to grandparent them the way I wish I could have. But like I said, we've all bonded, all three of us, all three of my grandkids, the 11-year-old, the 15-year-old, and the 17-year-old, in different ways. The 15-year-old, we've spent a lot of time sitting and talking, and he's a computer kid, and he was using my computer to do games, and he'd show me the stuff on the games. Like I said, the 17-year-old was, come and go, hit and miss, but also I feel like, she remembers me the most because she was the oldest, and so I think that bond is pretty good too. And then the 11-year-old, he was very little when I was here, and he was very funny when I was here before. I said, "Do you remember me?" And he was like 3 or 4. I guess he was 4 at the time, and he'd been only 7 months when I had left prior to that. And he said, "Yeah, I remember you," and he insisted that he remembered me from 7 months to 4, and we had a good time at that time, and now we have a good time too. He's got interests. He's a little skateboarder. He's pretty good at it, and we talk about that. I try to talk about his interests, and he'll be the one that'll give me hugs and whatnot, and let me be a little more affectionate than the two older ones. Two older ones, they're kind of grown up, and the 11-year-old's he's not all grown up. He's enjoying having a grandmother around. So anyway, like I said, it was tough to move out and to leave them and not see them every day. I was taking them to school every day and whatnot, and just being there, after work and after they got out of school. Well, after I was out of work, having dinner and all that stuff that you do as a family together, and it was tough. And Taki kind of filled the void for me. She also sort of has taken the place of my last dog. My last dog was Rascal. He also was a cattle dog mix of he was cattle dog, he was Australian Shepherd and Border Collie. And I had to leave him because I got him for my ex for his birthday, and he wasn't going to have me take his dog from him. And at that time, honestly, I didn't know what was, how things were going to work, and I couldn't even imagine taking him, although I would have in a heartbeat if my ex had given any indication that I could. I would have taken him, and I missed him dearly, and I still miss him dearly. I still hope that maybe someday, and I put that feeler out there that if at any point he doesn't want to take care of him anymore, or doesn't want the dog anymore, that please let me know, and I'll find a way to get him as soon as possible. Because I miss him. He was my little baby boy. Had him as a puppy, and did all the training for him, and we'd go out, and he was my yard dog. He liked gardening with me, and we did agility stuff, and really bonded with him. And he was just a year and a half, almost 2 years old when I left, and still miss him terribly. Still wish I had my Rascal, and I think him and Taki would be best friends. I think they've bonded. I kind of wanted a girl dog because he was a boy dog, and if there was ever an opportunity for me to have Rascal again, I figured that he would get along with a girl dog, be his little girlfriend, instead of a boy dog that he would compete with. So it's still my thought, and not my plan, because you can't plan those things. But if it ever happens, I think that they would be best friends, and I sure would like that. I would sure like to have the opportunity to have them both. Not now, though, because as I've begun this whole journey, I'm nomading it. And nomading with one dog is interesting and a bit of a challenge. I have to think of her needs. Today, all day, I was sorting out my gear and trying to eliminate some of the stuff I have in my back of my truck that I'm not using, and storing it at my son's house in a closet. So I was in and out, and she was in and out of the truck, and couldn't take her in because he has his dogs there, his and his girlfriend's dogs, and they don't get along, or they haven't had an opportunity to meet each other in a smooth way. When they did meet each other, his two girl dogs weren't impressed at all with Taki, and there was some aggression, and so we decided that's not a good mix to put them together. So she was in and out of the truck, tied to a post or in the truck, and I was in and out, and I had lunch with her. And now we're going for a little ride because it's too hot to sit near the house, and I've done all my chores, and we're touring Somerset, which is a big fancy development up in the hills of Reno, Northwest Reno. Excuse my squeaking brakes. I don't know if it's the brakes or the shocks. The mechanic said my brakes are fine, but that squeal is telling me something's not fine. And my son had said that brakes were needed, so maybe that's what's not fine. And anyway, let's see where we are now, because this is interesting. We're way up in Somerset, which is a pretty fancy community. And it looks like we're going downhill now. It's in the foothills on Peavine Mountain in Reno, Northwest Reno. It's funny, it's a mixture. My grandson has a friend up here that has a ranch-style house mixed in with there's a house across the street that we call the Castle because it has a turret, and it's about 3 times the size of the little ranch that his friend lives in. So yeah, there's all sorts of development, and I think it's kind of sad that it climbs up the hills. I mean, you see these hills across the way. Those are undeveloped, and that's the Mount Rose Wilderness. And there's, I think we're down from, I'm trying to figure out, there's the Hunter Creek Trail, and that might be it right straight ahead with the little aspen looking, or the foliage that looks like deciduous rather than conifer. That sure looks like the Hunter Creek Trail right there, that declivity in the middle that's right in front of us. and no development there. But here on this side, on Peavine Mountain, all sorts of development, and it's sad. This one bothers me, but there's another one that's right on the end of Robb Drive that going up there, it's right at the edge of Peavine Mountain. It's in the foothills. It is on Peavine Mountain, but it's like somebody drove up the hills and just started planting houses. And they should be hills. They should be wild hills where the coyotes and the bobcats and the cougar can still roam, and it's just not. And it's sad. And all the houses, and you can tell here too, they have a view of nothing. They're on the hills. These ones are a little down in a little valley in between, top of the hills. But they just have a view of each other, and all the wildness I want to say it's been taken out, but there's always these stories of some wildlife encroaching. There was a lady that came into the grocery store where I worked, and she's in one of these developments, and she said that some sort of, she thought mountain lion gashed her pumpkins wide open that she had sitting out as decorations, and she's on the edge of the wilderness. And then there was also talk that several people, neighbors of my son's, and you can see there's Peavine Mountain there, and these are all the houses that have developed on the foothills going up to Peavine. So back to my son's neighbors saying that they had spotted a bobcat, and a couple of neighbors have spotted bobcats in the area, which is fairly developed. 3 blocks away is the Walmart. It's like this, but even more developed. There's schools and whatnot. There's a hill behind his house, and there's a couple hills, a couple blocks to the, it would be the northwest of his house, that have been undeveloped, but they're in the middle of development all around them, and his area of the development's been there for probably 20 years. This area, I don't know. I haven't been here long enough to decipher. I would say maybe the same, but there is stuff that's newly going up, and maybe it's only 10 years old. I think Somerset is not all that old, which is where we're around right now. I don't know if we're actually still in Somerset, but we're around Somerset. So yeah, Reno is all about developing these hills, and you can see this wild hill in front of us. I mean, this was what we're on right now. This road was just foothills to the mountain that's right beside us, up off to my right, and like this long sprawling mountain that's Peavine, like Peavine Peak. So anyway, that's Reno, the developments of Reno, and it's sad. I guess it's inevitable. But I hate that the mountains, how far up that hill can you go? I think it's somewhere around, I knew it's even at work, 6,900 feet, almost 7,000 feet. And we must be up at 5 something maybe more. And they could just keep developing up that hill, and it's sad. I don't know why they want to do that. Well, of course I know why they want to do it. There's people and money, But here, this was rangeland for wild animals, and now it's these developments where they insist on, irrigating. It should be all that sere. What is it? Not burnt umber, but sienna. Should be that sienna color. There's the hills. We're on the hills. These hills look like those hills, and now they look like suburbia, and they've got these poor pathetic trees that they're trying to, well, at some point irrigated, but they don't irrigate them now. So they're not pumping water to those ones in the middle, and they're looking pretty frail. Might be still pumping water to the ones here on the side because there's some green grass and some better looking trees. But that's it. Money drives everything. Oh, there's a dirt biker. Oh no, that's a regular motorcycle. Dirt bikers love it up here. They head up on those hills. My sons want them. They head up. And there's brand new development up there, and I think it's the ugliest looking stuff. You know, again, on those hills that at the bottom of the peak. You know, why? And architecturally, they're ugly. From a distance, they look like ruins, and not in a cool way. Yeah, they look like sheds. They look like warehouses. They do not look like luxury homes, but those are luxury homes. Yeah. All right, I think I've talked about enough. We started out with talking, now we're in development in Reno, and this is kind of, I have no desire to be here, and be in this, and be part of it, and be part of the culture. That's one of the things I was thinking lately about the whole nomadic thing. There's Hunter Creek across the way, or thereabouts. That's the wild over there. This is the developed. I prefer the wild, and I prefer being outside. I prefer living outside. So doesn't Taki. Taki way prefers living outside. She's even sick of the truck at this point because she's been basically in it all day. Even if it is to ride, she needs to get out and run, and hopefully we'll do that. As soon as the kids get off, we're gonna go to the park and we'll do some running. Get her legs going. Thanks for listening.